Susanna to deliver this speech again. This is our third time to listen to her lecture. As we know, Lin is a devoted dog cultivator, and she has very profound understanding about Tao in many Chinese classes. Last year, she gave a lecture on Platform Sutra. It's very inspiring and we learned a lot. In fact, Lin also gave lectures on Mencius and Analect, on English clan, and English Sutra in classes seminar before. Many class members were very touched by her wonderful sharing. We all look forward to another lecture. And this time, Lin is going to share this topic, great learning, main text, with all of us. As we know, great learning is the basic of the Confucian classes. It's very important for us to cultivate Tao in our daily life. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Lin to make this wonderful sharing for us.
Thank you, Christy, for your wonderful introduction. Good evening, my dear brothers and sisters. Today, I'm very honored, thanks to the grace of heaven, the virtues of our holy teachers, the mercy of our Lao Tianren and Tianren up in heaven. And thank you, brothers and sisters, so that I can have this opportunity to share this topic, the great learning, with you. And today we are going to share the main text, 首章. Okay, let's go to the first slide, the introduction, the importance of the great learning. So when we think of great learning, we think of 4 books. So what is the place of the great learning among the 4 books? The great learning is one of the 4 books in Confucianism. Yes, everybody knows that. And Zhu Xi in South Song Dynasty considered the great learning elaborates the very important and fundamental philosophical concept that everyone who wants to learn Confucianism must learn the great learning first. So Zhu Xi suggests every beginner in Confucianism should start with the great learning. Okay, so the great learning has been listed as the first of the 4 books. Okay, so when we think of the 4 books, we think of Confucius and the 4 sages. 至圣先师还有4配. Okay, when we think of the 4 sages, of course, the first one we will think of 傅圣颜回. So 颜回, honored as 傅圣. The Chinese character 傅 means to restore. So that means 颜回夫子 had restored his true nature, his Buddha nature. And 颜回夫子 was Confucius' most cherished and valued disciple because of his diligent cultivation and excellent spiritual level he had attained. And because he passed away at a very young age, so he did not write any book. And then after Yan Hui passing away, Confucius needed to find another disciple to transmit heavenly decree to. So he found Zhenzi. So Zhenzi honored as Zhongsheng. The Chinese character Zhong means role model, or means the ultimate truth. So Zhongsheng literally means this sage already comprehended the ultimate truth and also served as a role model for contemporary or future cultivators. Okay, so Zhenzi was the one who received the torch of heavenly decree from Confucius since Yan Hui passed away. And Zhenzi was also the author of the Great Learning. So among Confucius' disciples and disciples' disciples, what does disciple mean? Disciples means 再传弟子. So among 孔老夫子的弟子, Confucius' disciples and disciples, there have been 4 cultivators who are worthy of the title sage. So they are called 四配 because they are, in terms of being at the spiritual level of sage, they're equal to Confucius. Okay, and The third sage was 子师夫子, honored as 树圣. The Chinese character 树 means 子师夫子 was able to continue the aspiration of Confucius, and also he was able to preach, to spread Confucius teaching. And 子师夫子 was the only grandson of Confucius, but he was honored as 树圣, doesn't because he was the only grandson of Confucius, but because he really attained that spiritual level. And he was Zhenzi's disciple, and he was also the author of the Doctrine of the Mean. Okay, the fourth sage, Mencius, the very famous Mencius. Mencius also honored as the second sage. The second sage means second to the first. That is second after only Confucius. And he was disciples of 子师 disciple. 就是子师夫子的再传弟子啊 Okay, and the book of Mencius, is a collection of conversations and anecdotes and series of genuine and imagined interviews by Mencius. So when we read the book of Mencius, we will be overwhelmed by Mencius' eloquence and above all, his compassion. So his being eloquent was because he was so compassionate. Okay, so look at the slide. It's the photo taken by our lecturer Wilbur at Guanghui Temple. So Confucius plus 4 sages, 至圣先师 and 四配. So within less than 200 years, there have been 4 sages among Confucian disciples and disciples. 孔老夫子的弟子跟再传弟子当中就有4配. So what a golden age in Chinese philosophy. And the 5 sages also are patriarchs of the Tao lineage. Okay, and let's go to the source of the great learning. Originally, the great learning was 1 chapter in the classics of rites. And during the Southern Song dynasty, Zhu Xi separated the great learning from the classic of rites and organized the book as a main text of Confucius teaching, 经一章. And in 经一章, all the words are from Confucius and transcribed by Zhenzi, followed by 10 commentary chapters, 传十章. And 传十章was written by Zhenzi as elaboration of 经一章. So Zhu Xi included the great learning in the 4 books, along with the Doctrine of the Mean, the Analects, and the Mencius. Okay, let's go to the title of the sutra. Great learning literally means learning great. And we can elaborate what is the meaning of learning great. We can elaborate in this way. Learn from the great. To learn from the great sages, the philosophy of how to be great. And then we learn to be great. We learn to be great by practicing the philosophy. After learning, we need to practice. And then practice makes perfect. So eventually, by restoring our original true nature, after practicing, by restoring our original true nature, we can just be ourselves, be great. So great learning, learning great. Learn from the great, learn to be great, and eventually be great. And then what do we learn to be great? Zhu Xi summarized the content of the main text into 3 guiding principles and 8 stages, and followed by 10 commentary chapters. And the commentary chapters are elaborations on the 3 guiding principles and 8 stages. Okay, let's get to the first segment of the main text. We have Zhu Xi summarized the main text, including 7 segments, and today we may have time to study the first segment and the second segment. Okay, the first segment is very famous, 3 guiding principles. And Confucius said, the principles of the great learning are to manifest our inherent bright virtues, to transform others, and seize when the highest good is achieved. So Zhu Xi summarized the first segment into 3 guiding principles. The first one, meaning to manifest our inherent bright virtues. The second one, 亲民, to transform others. The third one, 止于至善, to seize when the highest good is achieved. Let's go to the first part of the first segment, 明明德. Okay, 明 we will think of brighten up or some kind like that, but here the translator translated as to manifest. To manifest is a very good translation because Ming including some effort, and this effort could be very arduous. So it should go through a process. So we translate manifest. To manifest means the practice of refining our minds and characters. It is a process similar to the cutting and polishing of gems. If we explain in Chinese, it will be very easy. Cutting is 切, polishing is 戳. So cutting and polishing is 切戳, okay? And the process of cutting and polishing gemstones, here I use 3 pictures and a lot of explanation because we are speaking English. If we speak Chinese, there's no problem at all. We just explain it. But we are going to go through the English text. The left picture is the unrefined crude gemstones. The unrefined crude gemstones are far away from being beautiful, delicate, or precious. However, through a process of cutting and refining, they become so radiant. Like here, the right-hand side, the picture at the right side. They become so radiant, exquisite, and perfect. Cutting may be difficult, yes, but polishing is even more laborious. And in terms of Dao cultivation, we can feel very, 我们可以感受很深了. Cutting may be difficult and polishing even more laborious. Unrefined crude gemstones refer to ordinary people with ill tempers and bad habits, like crude gemstones. It seems from the outside seems no use, but on the inside, there are precious stones inside, so need a process of cutting and polishing. So ordinary people with ill temper and bad habits are far away from being saints and sages. So need the process of cutting. Cutting is to make major changes. For example, like in the Dao seminar, maybe for just 2 days or forever, everyone needs to, for smokers, they need to quit smoking for like 2 days. Or some people, after Dao seminar, they quit smoking forever. Okay, so to quit smoking or to become a vegetarian is like cutting, because these changes are major. It's a big change. Okay, and then what is polishing? Polishing is to make minor changes in striving for the better. We don't attain Buddhahood after we become a vegetarian, right? We need a long process of cultivating Dao and propagating Dao, 内圣外王, so that we may be able to attain a higher spiritual level. So we need to, after making major changes, we need to make a lot of minor changes in striving for the better, so-called 慎心无余隐为. It refers to careful self-examination, vigilant self-defense against temptations, and if make some mistakes, we need to repent and repentance. So refining our minds and characters can be an arduous process, which takes self-introspection, patience, vigilance, and perseverance to achieve. So polishing may be even more laborious, okay? So we have explained 明 to manifest, and then we are going to discuss what is 明德. 明德即原性 was the original elaboration by 福佑帝君. This is quoted from 学庸浅言新著. 福佑帝君 said, 明德即原性 明德 are inherent bright virtues, means our true nature. And here Confucius said the principles of the great learning are to manifest our inherent. Inherent means originally inside of everyone, means inherent. And here Confucius, why not just tell us to learn some virtues from outside? Why not? Why not just tell us to emulate the example, the role model of a virtuous one on the outside? Why tell us? Confucius clarifies the aim and theme from the very beginning. Brothers and sisters, in Chinese, we frequently said 开宗明义, right? 开宗明义. And if we want to translate 开宗明义 into English, this is the English translation I found on the internet, okay? So to clarify the aim and theme from the very beginning, 开宗明义. Confucius clarifies the aim and theme from the very beginning that if we want to be great, we must manifest our inherent, right, virtuous nature. Not to learn from outside, but to explore from inside. But if we explain this way, it seems a little bit contradictory to what we have learned in Tao society, because in Tao society, we always need to emulate, need to follow the footsteps of our 老前人 and 前人, need to follow the examples of the past great saints and sages. But here we say we don't need to learn from outside. We just need to learn to explore from on the inside. Is there any contradiction? No. If we, of course, we need to follow past saints and sages' footsteps, but follow what footsteps of past saints and sages? We follow their attitude, their effort in manifesting their inherent true nature. That's what we have to learn. 就是我们学习他们那种内圣外王的功夫了。If we emulate from past saints and sages, we emulate from our 老前人前人. Of course, we need to learn from their attitude to cultivate. And every saint and sages, why they can become a saint or a sage, why they can become a Buddha or Bodhisattva, it is because they explore inside, 内圣, and then manifest their inherent virtue to better the world, to serve people, to save sentient beings. So there's no contradiction at all. And here, inherent bright virtues. So here the term bright virtues serve as a way to describe our nature. When we think of our true nature, we don't have any description from these two words, true nature. It just means it's inherent inside of us. But here, 明德, bright virtue, serve as a way to describe our true nature is bright and virtuous. And there is a similar philosophy in Buddhism. In Confucianism, Confucius tells us our inherent nature is originally bright and virtuous. I skip an R here. And Shakyamuni Buddha told us, 众生皆具佛性，众生毕竟成佛. Sentient beings' nature is Buddha nature, and all sentient beings will attain Buddhahood eventually. So their elaboration on the true nature is essentially the same. And okay, and the second part of the first segment, 在亲民, the Chinese character 亲 has two meanings, and both are applicable. The first explanation of 亲 is to become acquainted and familiarized with a person or a group. Okay, and the second meaning of 亲 is the same as 心. 亲 and 心 是通用. Okay, means to renew and reform others, or so-called to help others turn over a new leaf. Okay, so why both are applicable? Because think about it, we cannot transform others without first building good affinities with them, right? So therefore, 亲 means both. So we need to be acquainted and familiarized with people and build good relationship, build friendship, build good affinity with them. So we need to 入世. We cannot just hide in remote mountain and cultivate ourselves. We need to go into engage in the world. But when we engage in the world, we need to be mindful. So here's is our 教化师姐. Merciful words of 教化 Bodhisattva teaches us. Because as Wai-yang cultivators, let's read the 小字 下面小字 As Wai-yang cultivators, we are called to a mission of engagement in, not withdraw from, the broader world. 白羊修士要入世, okay? So building good affinity is essential. But we need to build affinity with people out of our Buddha nature instead of out of our six senses. So the affinity must be pure and innocent. Do not put ourselves into trouble because of engaging in the world. So our Shiji reminds us, always conform to our original true nature without contamination. 面而本真不沾染. How can you get trapped in the dusty mud because of engaging in the world? 岂能因为入世而困沉泥呢? Very, very profound teaching. Okay, and the third part of the first segment, to seize when the highest good is achieved. And it is very interesting. Highest good is the state of perfection. And if we take this meaning and reread the first segment as follows, to seize when the highest good is achieved. And we will read the first principle and the second principle, we will read it like this. Do not stop manifesting our virtues until the state of perfection is reached. 明明德，止于至善. Okay, so we need to keep on manifesting our virtues until we achieve perfection. And then what about transform others? Do not transforming others until everyone's nature is restored. 在亲民，只在什么时候呢？止于至善. So in other words, the state of the highest good is achieved only when our nature and everyone's nature are restored. So from this, what comes to our mind is so many bodhisattvas have the same goal, have the same vow. Guanyin Bodhisattva vow not to attain Buddhahood until all sentient beings are transformed 地藏古佛, vow not to attain Buddhahood until the hell becomes empty. And essentially, it's the same, like what Confucius taught us. Do not stop transforming others until everyone's nature is restored. So touching. And we have our role models in modern times. Our role models are our 老前人. This is our 老前人 vows, grand senior elders vow. Maybe when I'm reading English, because this is supposed to be an English, a totally English lecture, but while I'm reading, you can read the Chinese one, the Chinese part. The Mandarin part is very touching, very, very touching. Grand senior elders vow, hope all the brothers and sisters can joyfully attend the Dragon Flower Assembly in time to witness the extraordinary preciousness of Tao and accompany Heavenly Mother and stay at the heavenly home to enjoy the heavenly blessings forever. I have a different vow though. I vow to come to this world life after life until all the sentient beings are saved. And that's when I can repay the grace of Heavenly Mother. And then we have our 前人, our senior elders vow. The same. 前人 encouraged us, after passing away, 前人 encouraged us by saying, you are not orphans. We have our Heavenly Mother, and you have me, the eternal helpsman. I vow to help all of you by holding your hands to continuously guide you until each and every one of you attain Buddhahood, sainthood, or sagehood. And my vow will never end. So we are so lucky to have such a great sage and such a great Bodhisattva as our 老前人 and 前人, and they vow to guide us forever. There is a hidden meaning in 止于至善. What we have discussed was to seize the high, to stop refining our character and moral, refining our manifest our bright virtue, and to stop transforming others when the highest good is achieved. We explain in that way, but there is actually a implicated hidden meaning in this part, 止于至善, seize when the highest good is achieved. There's a hidden meaning. Why I say hidden? Because only those who receive Tao can understand the treasure. That's why it is hidden. Because the word 止 means to seize, to be settled. And the word 于 means in. And then the term 至善means our nature or 无极. Okay, it's perfect, it's perfection, our true nature or 无极. And then what do we seize and where do we seize it? What are we going to seize? We are going to seize our minds and thoughts. We are going to redirect our minds to where? To the place in which our nature resides. Because oftentimes our minds wander endlessly and we are not aware of our thoughts appear and disappear. We have so many false thoughts pumping out and we are not aware of where are they come from and where are they going. And we are frequently driven by our thoughts. However, if we comprehend our nature, we can seize these thoughts. But be mindful that the cessation of thoughts do not happen forcefully. This is very, very important. When we so-called 关照, okay, we do not exert any force upon it. Do not happen forcefully. It is to be practiced naturally. 老前人 often say, 那可得自然才行啊。It should be practiced naturally. Do not the cessation of the forced thoughts do not happen forcefully. Okay. A very cute chicken and dog. As Mencius said, when people release their dogs and chickens from their confinements during the day, they know they should find them back in the evening. If they should, if there should be any single one go astray, the owner will do everything to find it back. But conversely, when people allow their minds to wander, they do not know that they should bring them back. Some people even consider if their mind is lost somewhere, it is very beautiful. Yes, some people consider that. So the purpose of cultivation is merely about seeking and bringing back the wandering mind. Like our 老前人 often said, Tao is inherent of yourself, 道在自身. There is no Tao on the outside, 身外无道. Okay, the purpose of cultivation is merely about seeking and bringing back the wandering mind. So when we can find the essence, the central theme of the three guiding principles. The first one, 明明德, to manifest our inherent bright virtues means to restore our true nature. And the second principle, to transform others means to restore others' true nature. And the third one, to cease when the high school is achieved means to persist in the work of transforming self and others until the state of perfection is achieved. So within these principles, the central theme is our true nature. So to practice the three principles, we need to put continuous effort in restoring our true nature by what? By purging our mind contents. So-called purging our mind contents in Chinese is 洗心涤虑. Okay, and letting go of attachments, 放下执着, and subduing false thoughts, 降服妄念. It's all about that. Only by 洗心涤虑, 放下执着, 降服妄念, that we can restore our true nature. So if there should be anyone ask you any question like this, since our true nature is already inherent inside every one of us, then why must we relearn our something we already have, our inherent virtues? Because here are the answers. Since the existence of humankind in this material world, human beings have been influenced by our 5 senses and thoughts. Here I use 5 senses and thoughts because we know 5 plus 1 equals 6, right? So in Buddhism, we often translate 六根 into 6 senses. So why don't I just use 6 senses? Why do I just use our 5 senses plus thoughts? It's because in Western culture, they said that human beings have 5 senses. In Western culture, they consider the 6th sense as supernatural. They consider the sixth sense as ESP, extrasensory perception. So there was an old movie called 第六感生死恋，有没有？第六感生死恋就是 all about something supernatural. So they consider 第六感is supernatural. So they think human being with this human form, we have five senses, and plus thoughts. Okay, so when we if we want to explain something to people with in Western culture, we can say five senses plus thoughts to replace six senses. So we are influenced by our five senses plus thoughts. And as a result, our nature is trapped within extremely deep layers of dust. And therefore, our true nature is not as bright as it originally was. For this reason, we must undergo moral refinement. That's why we need to cultivate. We need to relearn because it is already covered with dust. So this moral refinement is a process similar to a gemstone in the making, such as cutting and polishing, 切磋, to restore the brilliance of our true nature. So after the long process, we can restore the brilliance of our true nature. And in order to manifest our virtues, our perceptions and decisions must not be influenced by materialism and egotism. 就是不能够受物质跟这个我相的影响啊，才能够恢复自信。And to avoid this, to immune ourselves of materialism and egotism, we must purge the contents in our minds, 洗心涤虑, let go of our attachments, 放下, and bring back our wandering mind, 把心收回来, in order to restore our true nature. So, and then if we can truly cultivate in this way, as true cultivators, we can positively influence others. Especially we are engaging in Tao propagation, we can expand our moral influences widely, even globally. Okay. But since inner cultivation is the foundation of outer propagation, but never wait until you think you're perfect in inner cultivation before you decide to help the outer world. Here I would like to share an example. 就是不要等到说自己修得很好，然后才要度人啊，不要这样啊。Here I would like to share an example, and the story was shared by Susan. She told me there is a new Tao member initially who refused to introduce Tao, refused to induct her mom and sister to receive Tao. Why? Because she thought she hadn't cultivated herself good enough to induct her mom and sister. So she refused to do that. But in the meantime, she was participating in a reading club. 她正在参加佛堂的读书会. She was participating in a reading club, and they were reading 论语圣训 and 不修习菩萨结缘训. Okay, and after several months of reading club, reading holy revelations, finally she spontaneously 自发性的 she wants to induct her mom and sister to receive Tao. So in holy revelations, we can learn a lot of right perceptions. We can learn a lot of right viewpoints. 所以我们要多读经训，多读圣训，才有正知正见啊。If we just do whatever, if we just do like we cultivate, we propagate according to our own thoughts, maybe we are wrong. See, so luckily she was participating in a. I think they are still ing. The reading club is still going on. Okay, so never wait until you are perfect, before you decide to help the outer world. And cultivating internal virtues to manifest our inherent bright virtues and establishing external merits should go hand in hand, since they can influence each other positively. Because establishing external merits will become more efficient if internal cultivation is improved. Everybody knows that, because internal cultivation is the foundation for external merits, right? So 外功会更有效，如果修得好的话 ，OK? And internal cultivation may become easier when we propagate Tao, when we put in efforts in propagating Tao, because when we are propagating Tao, when我们正在行外功的时候 heaven will help us. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, saints and sages, our 老前人, 前人 up in heaven will help us. And with this divine help, we are filled with divinity. And when this happens, our internal cultivation will become easier. I think everybody can experience that. Internal cultivation will become easier with divine help when we fill with divinity. And also, when we put in a lot of effort to establish external merit, and we can use the external merit to pay our karmic debts. When our karmic debts are paid, our internal cultivation will become easier. Why? Because sometimes we found that we don't have good mood, and we have so many negative thoughts, and that may be due to the interference from our bad karma. So if we can pay our karmic debts, then our internal cultivation will become easier. So 内外功一定要并进啊 should go hand in hand. Okay, let's go to the second part of the main text. The second part of the main text is relatively short. 知者后有定啊 When we know where to cease, wandering minds will settle in its original location. Okay. So the Chinese word 定, we can translate it as stability or reposition. The word reposition, we read the explanation here. Reposition is a medical term. When it is used in medicine, it means in surgery, the return of a broken or displaced organ or a displaced bone or part of the body return to its normal site. So it's called 复位. So reposition means 回归本位就对了，复位 reposition. So I think this explanation, this word is very, very good. But stability is often used, 定. So if you use stability or reposition, I think either one is okay. And 定 means to refrain our minds that are like bustling monkeys and galloping horses. In Chinese, we often say 心猿意马. Now you'll find the translation for 心猿意马, okay? Bustling monkeys and galloping horses. Usually, sentient beings' minds are like bustling monkeys and galloping horses. And if we know where to cease, we can refrain our minds from wandering, so our minds can settle in its location, in its original location. And that is 定. Then we have stability. Okay, and when our wandering minds settle down, gradually our minds can be tranquil. Why here I add gradually, because after we settle down for a long time, maybe a long time, I think it depends case by case, individual by individual. So, and then gradually, if we persist in 定, then gradually our minds can be tranquil. Tranquil means to be tranquil and natural at every moment, day and night. 26时钟就对了. Okay, and then 静而后能安. When our minds are tranquil, gradually we can feel secure. We need to stay tranquil for a long time, and then we feel secure. Okay, so what does it mean by feel secure? Security means our bodies. This is the explanation from 福佑帝君. Okay, 福佑帝君 said, 身有所循，心有所归，性有所安. So beautiful. Means our bodies have something to abide by. Our minds have a place of return. As I recall, there is a very old song called The River of No Return, 大江东去, right? And our minds should have a place of return. When our minds have a place of return, no longer a traveler, and our nature is secure at its location, no longer disturbed. This is the state of An. So that means each, the body, the mind, the nature has its home, home sweet home. 身有所循，心有所归，性有所安. Okay, and when we feel secure, gradually we will be able to reveal our wisdom. Our wisdom reveal when we feel secure. When our minds are like bustling monkeys and galloping horses, we have no wisdom at all. Maybe all we have just anger, greed, and ignorance. But when we feel secure, gradually we will be able to reveal our wisdom. So wisdom or concerns. Why concerns and wisdom? Either one can be used to translate 律. Why? Let's read the explanation. 律 means after we have sufficient internal practice, naturally we will be concerned that many people are suffering. Naturally, we will be compassionate for the sentient beings. That's why we can translate 律 as concerns. Okay, and then we will have the wisdom to do compassionate work in helping people recognize their nature and regain their inherent peace. So either one will do, concerns or wisdom. Okay, so when we reveal our wisdom, we will be able to achieve our goal, to fulfill our vows, and that is the. And when we achieve our goal, fulfill our vows, we have true merits and virtues. What we have not merely blessings. 我们有真功实善呢，绝对不是只有福报而已啊。就是我们可以想到梁武帝的故事嘛，对不对哈？这个时候就真功实善，不是只有福报。Okay, so here I want to share with you our holy teachers' holy revelation 大学之道之真义 given in 2016 at Guanghui Temple. In this holy revelation, holy teacher clearly indicated that 定静安律德 are 5 steps, 5步功夫. So in the main text, 大学首章里面 in the main text of the Great Learning, remember 3 numbers, 3, 8, and 5. 3 guiding principles, 8 stages, 5 steps. 3 guiding principles, 8 stages were summarized by 朱熹夫子, and 5 steps are indicated by our holy teacher in Wai-Yang era. Okay, so now I found one thing very interesting in these 5 steps. Because when we say 知止后有定, when we know where to cease, wandering mind will settle in its original location, But after that, when our wandering minds settle down, our mind can be tranquil. After reposition, if we want to go to the next step, we need to, Confucius used the word can. And after our minds are tranquil, gradually we can feel secure, another can. And after we feel secure, gradually our wisdom will be revealed. Gradually our wisdom will be able to be revealed, another can. And after our wisdom is revealed, then we will be able to achieve our goal or fulfill our vows, another can. So there are 4 cans among 定境跟律德. And then know where to cease, 知止, between 知止 and 定是有，然后定境跟律德之间都是能. So it is very interesting. What is 有 and what is 能? 有 means if you know where to cease, then for sure, the moment you know where to cease, the moment your mind will settle in its location. And the next moment you give up the cessation, and consequently, next moment, the stability is lost. So it is just like 知止就一定有定, okay? But after 知止, if you want to attain tranquility, if you want to attain security, wisdom, or achievement, you need to put continuous effort. So can here means if we can persevere, then we can move on to the next step. If we can't persist, if we can't persevere, then we can't move on to the next step. So I think Confucius is telling us, there was a saying that if I can, then you can, right? So Confucius is telling us, if Confucius can, then everybody can, right? So why 六祖慧能? 慧能, yes, this can, another can. And that means to put in effort, continuous effort, okay? And the end of my sharing, I would like to quote Holy Teacher's teaching. 修道不办道，修酒没味道，办道不修道，办酒魔就道. Cultivating without propagating Tao, gradually you will feel aloof from people. If you feel aloof from people, you have no compassion, 没味道. Propagating Tao without cultivating Tao, without any core value of virtue, of 无为, of 慈悲喜舍, just 办, without cultivating Tao, eventually we will be trapped by the devil. It's our Holy Teacher's teaching. So I need to end my sharing here. And if I have made any mistake, I hope God and Buddha forgive me. And I hope master, lecturers, brothers and sisters can give me comments. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you.